Welcome back to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. If you are just tuning in, we just went over the abysmal performance of Florida State in their blowout loss to ACC opponent Boston College. They fall to 0-2 on the year, all but killing their hopes on making the brand new 12-team college football playoff. But in this segment, we are going to transition over to the NFL, as the NFL is just 2 days away. That's right. Thursday, we have our kickoff game between the Ravens and the Chiefs. I could not be more excited. We are doing our official playoff predictions. We've went through all 32 NFL teams, but now that we know their record, now that we know their offseason, we need to know who's going to make the playoffs, and more importantly, who's going to advance out of their respective playoff brackets. We're going to answer those questions here in just a second, but before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you are on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. But like I was saying, we are going to take a look at the NFC playoff picture. Like I said in the intro, we have gone through all 32 NFL teams. Now it's time we get to the actual playoffs. We've been putting it off for long enough. Football is right around the corner, and I have a list for you. We went through all the divisions, so we're going to start off with the division winners, right? In the NFC East, it's a tight race. It's a two-team race, in my opinion, and I don't think people are going to have that much of an issue with that. You have the Giants, Commanders, Cowboys, and Eagles, right? 4 teams in the NFC East. The NFC East is a division that famously, since 2004, I believe, has not had a repeat champion. And the team that won last year was the Dallas Cowboys. Now, there's been a bunch of back and forth in recent memory between the Cowboys and the Eagles. One of these two teams got worse. One of these two teams got better. Now, throwing out of contention the bottom 2 teams, the Giants are just a mess. Daniel Jones is not the quarterback answer, although this is basically a contract year, and last time he had a contract year and Brian Daboll was doing play calling, the Giants ended up winning a playoff game. But the Commanders also have some promise with rookie Jaden Daniels. They're not quite there. This is a 2-horse race between the Eagles and the Cowboys, and I think the Eagles adding Saquon is going to be enough to push them over the top. The Eagles are going to take this division. They're going to settle into the 3 seed. For me. Next division on the list here, we have the NFC South. The Falcons, the Bucks, the Saints, and the Panthers. And I think clearly the Falcons are the best team. The Panthers are going to be pretty bad this year, although I do think this is a make it or break it year for Bryce Young. The Saints have their own issues. They're kind of a team that's mid, to say the least, right? And the Bucks are going to be up and down, and Baker Mayfield isn't a quarterback that I trust to have prolonged success. He's a guy that I think was worth paying, but as far as being better than a Falcons team this year that has added so much on both the offensive and the defensive ends to really, really improve their team, I think the Falcons are just going to do enough to secure this division over the Buccaneers, and they're going to slide into the 4 seed. Then, the NFC North, and this is one of the most interesting divisions. In a really realistic scenario, I think we could have 3 NFC North teams make the playoffs. The Bears, the Packers, the Lions, probably not the Vikings, but these are all really, really quality teams. The Bears with Caleb Williams, this is the first real quarterback in Bears history. He looks really good in the preseason. Again, we're going to try not to read too much into that, but it's hard not to when you have a guy like Caleb Williams with so much talent, kind of just flashing it for everyone to see. The Packers give Jordan Love a huge contract. Absolutely worth it, based on the back half of his season. And the Lions just continue to be the Lions, at least from last season. Dan Campbell is running a nice operation over there. I have the Lions winning this division and sliding into the 2 seed, which means the San Francisco 49ers are going to be the 1 seed once again. The San Francisco 49ers have brought back all the pieces they need to. They pay Brandon Ayuk. They pay Trent Williams. That was the last holdout. That was the biggest question. That news broke about 30 minutes ago at this point. The 49ers are going to be really good once again. The 49ers get the 1 seed. And now we get into a little bit more of a question. Who gets the wild card spots? I've laid out a lot of talk about these teams. Obviously, the NFC East is a 2-horse race. The NFC North has the potential for 3 teams. The NFC West has a lot of contenders depending on what breaks they get to go their way with the Rams, the Seahawks, even the Cardinals. I think could have a dark horse shot at the playoffs if Kyler Murray is able to go off. But getting to these wild card spots, in the 7 spot, I have the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams are healthy. I know that it's a little bit of a setback losing Aaron Donald, maybe a little more than a little bit of a setback, but their defense should be able to recover, fix it by committee rather than one person. It got a lot better defensively. They have Cooper Kupp for the season. Their offense is healthy. More importantly, Matthew Stafford's arm is healthy this year. That should push them into the playoffs, which they were able to make last year. At 6, I have the Packers. I believe in Jordan Love. Jordan Love got paid $55 million a year for a reason. They have all the weapons they could want. They added a better pure runner, I think, in Josh Jacobs, although they do lose a little bit in that pass catching area, but this is still a very good Packers team, a very good Packers defense. They're going to slide into that 6th seed. And then the Cowboys get that final playoff seed, the fifth overall seed in the NFC. The Cowboys make the playoffs once again. This kind of feels like a last hurrah for them, at least for me personally, when I'm taking a look at this Cowboys team. I don't expect Dak Prescott to be back based on the comments that he's been making, although that's a discussion for another day. We have to make it through the rest of this playoff bracket. But this is their last hurrah. They got a little worse offensively. They bring back Zeke. Remember old times. This is a team that's going to be a little more desperate, I think. But with that being said, we have our bye. The San Francisco 49ers have the 1 seed. They get a bye, which sets up a Lions-Rams rematch in the playoffs. We'll see what happens week 1 between them, but I don't really expect that one to go any differently than the year before. We also get another rematch between the Eagles and the Packers. This time, the Eagles are hosting. Or excuse me. Not a rematch. This is going to be a rematch of week 1. The Eagles play the Eagles play the Packers. I think the Packers are going to take this one. I think it's a different situation than the game on Friday night, which we'll do predictions for later on in the week. But the Packers make it past the first round once again with Jordan Love. And then we have a Falcons-Cowboys matchup. And as much as I want to pick the Cowboys, I think the Falcons are going to be a little bit too much for them. They win that game at home, which sets up Packers, 49ers, Lions, Falcons. Fun matchup there in the NFC semifinals. It's going to be a rematch once again. The Lions take on the 49ers, and I think this year is the Lions' year. I think they got a little bit worse in the wide receiver room, but they definitely improved their biggest weakness, which was especially the secondary defensively. Their pass rush got a lot better down the stretch of the year. They still have a really, really good offensive line, really good running back room. Amon-Ra St. Brown is still there. Again, you have Aiden Hutchinson. He is a sneaky defensive player of the year candidate. They drafted 2 rookie cornerbacks. I really like both of them. They could come in and have an immediate impact. I think it's going to push them over the top. This year, I think the Lions make the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Now, the 49ers very much are a juggernaut. They're built much the same that they were last year. Not too much change. They kept their own guys. They had a very noisy offseason. But when it comes down to it, I think I'm taking Jared Goff over Brock Purdy behind these two teams. And we'll see what ends up happening. Obviously, this is just a hypothetical here, but I'm taking the Lions out of the NFC to make the playoffs. But let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the NFC playoffs, who you have coming out of the NFC and representing them. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the AFC playoffs, talk about which 7 teams are representing the AFC and which one of those will make the Super Bowl to take on the Detroit Lions. So stick around for that. We'll be right back here on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.